Good day. Continuing on the 11AX topics, I wanted to dwell on some of the challenges of the Wi-Fi 6 11AX APs because as we see some products and results being kind of shared in public domain, we see some surprising results. So I wanted to just highlight some of the challenges which could be behind some of the numbers that we are seeing. My name is Shrikant and I'm with NanoCell Networks. So before I go into 11AX, I just wanted to also share something from 11AC which will lead us on to the 11AX world, and specifically on the 11AC wave 2, which is when multi-user MIMO got introduced. So if you really look at from the AP perspective, the dilemma in front of the AP is, should I use SU transmission or should I go for MU MIMO transmission? And of course, in this case, there was only downlink, but still there was a sort of question to be answered. And of course, there are questions to be answered as to how much aggregation to do. And within the context of MU MIMO, there was this idea of should the AP wait for frames for a bunch of users, because MU MIMO depends on feedback. How current is the feedback? Are there frames enough for all the stations? Should I have to pad more? And of course, even before all of this, there is the question of how do I group users? For example, is there a certain logic to grouping users? How do I assign group IDs? So many of these challenges were there. So apart from the physical layer MU MIMO challenge and the sort of supporting MAC structure, I would say there's a choice of SU versus MU MIMO versus the whole framework of MU MIMO which needs to come into play for it to become successful. Okay, so I just want to highlight this before we jump into 11AX, because remember that 11AX is much more than that, and this is also one of the reasons why we saw some surprises in wave 2 products where with MU MIMO we found some results not so great as compared to not using MU MIMO. So let's look at the 11AX challenges for the AP. Now the challenges, of course, SU or MU, but now in the MU, if we have OFDMA and MU MIMO, there is a choice to be made. Should I do MU MIMO? Should I do OFDMA? And of course, sometime in the future when we have all three of them, rather SU and the variety of OFDMA plus MU MIMO choices, then we have more choices to choose from. Okay. On top of it, we also not just have aggregation, but also fragmentation. So fragmentation, aggregation, both kind of come into play. Okay. So this gives you an idea of how 11AX, even just on the downlink, has multiple issues to look at. Can we somehow just evolve a scenario where we can look at the overall throughput of an AP, some magical way by which we can say, if I do this, then that for that particular condition, we will get a better overall throughput. Okay. So that's the real question to be sort of answered. And this is sort of what is something unique. It's not just the schemes that we talked about, dividing the bandwidth into RUs and the various supporting structures, but really to make this multi-user transmission a success, a very good logic should be in place to choose the right thing. And this is not an easy problem. And if you probably have the physical and MAC layer worked out, but not this logic correctly worked out, maybe there are some surprising results. And that's probably what we are seeing in the initial days, where we are really not able to use these features as effectively as we would have thought. This continues for the AP side. Since I'm looking at the AP side, AP is also responsible for uplink multi-user transmission, remember? So when should it do? When should it switch this on? What metric should it use? Is there a magical formula or a machine learning technique which can say, hey, do uplink MU with this bunch of users? Is there some frame sizes, types of frames which should always go in uplink MU? As I said, will we be able to find some magical formula where we say, if we do this, we'll get the best throughput? And remember that there is status maintenance of the users at a deeper level, because we have buffer status, we have TWT status. How to factor this in? Earlier it was just a simple association and capability, but we now have lots more information. So to get this right on downlink on uplink, remember, it's one thing to have the OFDMA and MU-MIMO capability, but to get it working the right way, I think is the real challenge. Of course, this is not the only challenge, but I'm saying that given all of the things are okay, I think this becomes one of the most important things for the AP to get it right, so that it can give us some benefits of using some of the 11AX features. Okay? So in summary, so 11AX is not just about OFDMA, multi-user MIMO and a few other supporting things. It is about how we use it for the particular scenario in hand. And that could make the AP more complex, maybe costlier, okay? And with the mix of clients that we are likely to see in the initial days, especially more 11AC clients, maybe 11N clients in 2.4, is that justified? How do we justify this complex, costly, not so perfect AP in a mixed environment, which is most likely for quite some years? How are we going to kind of justify this? How are we going to get it right? I think this remains the key challenge for many 11AX APs. Okay, so I hope I've given you something which we don't often discuss. As I said, keep note of our website for more information. Thank you.